Resolve. Recovering from both the energy blast and the transformation back to Bruce Banner. Your energy is sapped, and you are temporarily incapable of transforming back to the Hulk even though any goddamn set. Find a safe way to move deeper into the complex in pursuit of the goal.
Willing to go deeper, leaves.
No, that is not how the Hulk works. See, the way the Hulk works is that when the Hulk works off his energy, he becomes Banner. But as long as Banner is angry, he's the Hulk.
I guess they ran out of excuses to have a stealth level.
That is the most laziest excuse, though. Like, seriously, Bruce's whole spiel is the fact that he is constantly becoming the Hulk he's angry. And now you're telling me that all of a sudden, oh, now you have this time where you can't turn into the Hulk because of that?
That's why I didn't really like that 2008 movie idea of where, oh, it's not the anger, it's the heart rate that does. I'm like, what? I mean, because
you can't even have sex without turning into the
yeah, exactly. If it's not anger and it's actually the heart rate, that kind of goes against the whole, conquering your inner anger theme of the Hulk.
Hang on, if that's the case, why didn't he ever turn into the Hulk when he was like hiding or running away?
Exactly. The whole it's a change that doesn't really make any sense. I'm so glad that the Avengers movie retconned.
Hey Pedro, I get the feeling Edward Norton doesn't really know a whole lot about how the human heart works.
It's another great. Despite technically being part of the MCU, you can tell that Kevin Feige and his team knew that was a bad idea to the point that they even retconned it in the first Avengers movie.
But they brought back Colonel Ross.
Then how come William Hurt's playing Colonel Ross in Civil War?
I'm fine with that because, the thing is, even though they did retcon that part, they still have to live with the fact that that movie is technically part of the MCU. So, okay, we need General Ross in here. Well, technically we already have an actor play him, so for the sake of consistency, I guess we'll bring in.
Besides, it's only for a couple of lines anyway.
Yeah, that didn't really. And
at this point in time, William Hurt is probably starving to get a decent role these days.
Well, maybe if you were a better actor.
Watch as my voice doesn't break an octave.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if you were a better actor, he'd get more roles.
Well, I'd say that he got
the
better.
The ironic thing is that the best I've seen him in is in The Fucking Village,
where he was hands down the best actor in that movie against actors like Sigourney freaking Weaver.
Well, then again, Jesse fucking Eisenberg was there, so I guess there was already an incredibly low bar to begin with. Ooh, did I just insult Jesse Eisenberg's acting? Heresy.
It doesn't help that he plays the same kind of person every time.
It'd be surprised to us. There are a lot of die-hard fangirls of Jesse Eisenberg and shit.
Probably because of Rio.
I think it's more so because of Social Network. Because remember, Social Network was very popular among.
It was the film of our generation.
Remember, it was actually really popular among youths.
Yeah. I have to say, I kind of feel sorry for the children of his age. I mean, when we were kids, what animation did we have? The Disney Renaissance, DreamWorks animated pictures. And yet nowadays, what animated films do kids have to look to? The freaking Emoji Movie.
Well, there's Disney films too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Jova. This putrid animation to compete with Disney and stuff has always been there, even in the 90s.
Not just that. Yeah, I was about to say that as well. There have always been
stuff like the Magic Voyage happened.
There have always been bad movies and good movies. There was never any, despite what a lot of people. Back in the 90s it was the deal. Oh, back in the 80s was where it's at. No, there have always been bad movies and good movies in every single era.
The only real difference is that thanks to social medias and everything is amplified, and thus, much like anything, it's a power that a lot of people cannot manage to handle properly, essentially.
Yeah, because a movie like Magic Voyage, for example, came out back before social media and internet. Well, obviously it kind of went past the radar and barely anybody noticed that movie even existed. But if it came out today, it would be like the Emoji Movie all over again. People would be ravaging all over that movie on the internet.
Granted, a lot of movie becomes like fad and get forgotten, like say couple of months or 1 year, like normal the North, despite how bad they were and bad people reacted to them. But others, due to their gravity, stays with their suckiness for a bit more. But that's always what happened. At the end of the day, it's the existence of social media and how people decide to use them, which in turn gives the lack of education into use social media the more frightening result of people not being able to do anything on computers, but it's not very toxic or dangerous.
Not to mention, Jova, I really find that hard to agree with when right now, in my opinion, Disney Animation Studios is going through its best period ever.
Really? Best ever?
Well, you have to understand that unlike most people who start counting the good ones from Princess and the Frog onwards, I counted from Meet the Robinsons onwards. I'm actually kind of a fan of that film. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's perfect or anything like that, but I still think that movie has more good in it than bad.
Oh, sure.
A lot of people have you believe.
Oh, sure, I get that. I'm just wondering, I mean, like, well, which range of era you're referring to?
So, question though about the game.
To the 90s.
Pedro. Sorry, question about the game. Do you need to be extremely close in order to alert the dogs or something?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
As long as you're sneaking and stay away from them, you should be fine. Like, compared to the 90s, for example. The 90s, we had, even though I'm not really a fan of The Little Mermaid, fine. Little Mermaid. Well, actually, as far as I'm concerned, probably more start with, Great Mouse Detective, so we'll start with that. It had Great Mouse Detective, that's one. Little Mermaid 2.
There was also Oliver.
Wait, hold on. The Great Mouse Detective was in the 90s?
1991, I think.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. I usually kind of, as far as I'm concerned, that was the movie that kind of started the Disney Renaissance, not The Little Mermaid, for me, at least. Because that movie I find to be a lot better than the fucking Little Mermaid, if you ask me, but...
It was also groundbreaking in a sense because it was the first to introduce 3D computer-generated technology.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. So are you guys referring to, like, its 1992 theatrical re-release? Because The Great Mouse Detective was first in 1986,
Hold on a second. Didn't you have to seal that thing with the Hulk before?
Yes, and now you have to re-release it so you can get past it. Well, remember, Tim, we fell back in here and... Well, remember, we fell in here accidentally because of the bomb at the end of the last part, so now we have to find our way back up.
How ironic.
Anyway, it's just one of those things. Like for me, that's one. Okay, let me rephrase that, Jova. It's not the 90s. I'm talking about the second Disney Renaissance, or the second Golden Age. That's better because the first Golden Age was, of course, from Snow White till Bambi. Whereas the second Golden Age, for me at least, was from Great Mouse Detective till I guess I'll go flanking as well. Whereas this one, starting from, it's not been 10 years, and they're still going strong. 2016 was, if you ask me, the studio's 2016 was, if you ask me, their best year ever. I mean, not only did they release an amazing movie with great commentary and that can satisfy both kids and adults, and Ron Clements and John Musker came back to make Moana, which was a great return to their roots. That proves that they can create fairy tale music.
Wait, are you supposed to get through that part since the
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And now you know, Teo, why I'm using cheats, because this part is fucking... Before you ask, no, you cannot... I've tried my hardest.
Time to leave.
Basically, basically, you're supposed to try your best to survive until you reach the train.
That's bullshit.
Thank you. And now
Look at this.
What's even the point of sneaking? Why isn't there a run feature? Why isn't he running?
And now you know why I'm using cheats, Teo.
Jesus.
Like, seriously?
I did turn off the infinite health cheat for this particular playthrough for the sake of, making things a bit harder for myself. But I was seriously considering, fuck it, I'm just gonna turn on infinite health. But fortunately, I did manage to get past.
Oh, so that's how you're supposed to do it, by dodge rolling. That's not vague at all.
It's not so much that, Joe. It's also the fact
gotta be kidding me.
No, that's scripted. Don't worry.
So what was even the point of him escaping?
As soon as he gets...
You've reached the teleportation device used to transport the leader's army from Freehold. Defeat Ravage and follow the trail to the Gamma.
So I get that as soon as the law attacks, he can become back the Hulk.
Yes.
And it starts with the dog flying away. There we go.
One thing that I really like about the Mega Drive game is how you can constantly become both Hulk and Banner for the... Oh, actually, no, there we go. Here's Ravage. Hello, leader. How have you been doing? There you go. That's the leader.
Yeah, it's as silly as it looks.
Basically, it's the Hulk equivalent of intelligence. Like he has all the gamma power in his brain rather than his body. Basically.
He looks like a mushroom.
Before you get all worked up, my angry adversary, I deceived Banner, not you. So have a seat.
He has a point, Hulk. Why are you even bothering?
Who's this guy again?
Ravage.
Ravage,
Remember
isn't that one from the 2008 film, or is it somewhere else?
No, that's the Abomination.
Yeah. Surprised that he's not in this game.
I love that subtitle, by the way. Ravage is a tactical fighter. Don't leave yourself open. Yeah, I have no idea what that subtitle is for because all he does is really punch me.
Not just that, he's one of the most generic Captain Obvious statement. Oh, this guy is attacking you. Don't let your guard down.
Let me guess. I guess that means block, 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 then attack.
What kind of boss would it be if it doesn't attack you?
I mean, I'm guessing it's because unlike other bosses, he blocks more, or maybe his AI is slightly more better programmed to, reflect the fact that he's a genius like Banner is. But it still doesn't really come across like that in the game itself. There you go. Anyway, what I was saying earlier was...
But, yeah.
The Golden Age.
The Mega Drive, the Mega Drive game. Well, actually, I finished the Disney stuff.
Alright, with the Mega Drive game. Alright, but you can change from Banner to Hulk in a way.
Basically, the way it works is you start off as the Hulk, but you can collect these gamma capsules that allow you to turn back into Banner on the fly, so you can go through secret passages that only Banner can go through. And you can then progress for the rest of the level as Banner, and if you get hurt as Banner, you'll turn back into the Hulk. That was a much better way of handling it.
But yeah, Ravage brings up a good point though. What point does Hulk really have to be doing all this stuff? I mean, well, now
because he wants to smash things.
See, now look, here's the thing. One thing I'm glad that Avengers actually did give homage to is that the Hulk kind of needs motivation. Like, it made sense that he helped them during the climax of the Avengers film
because... Not just that, he's
incredibly
incredibly brute and maybe doesn't have that much intellect, but he's not cool.
That too, yeah.
Still a major dummy.
But, someday we've got to do a commentary on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the TV show, because that's one of the few shows to actually show Hulk not doing his whole third-person speech spiel. Like, believe it or not... believe it or not, there was actually a time when Hulk didn't just speak in simple Hulk this, Hulk that. Like, he literally just spoke in the first person and stuff.
Well, then again, in the Avengers, Joss Whedon kind of went back to that concept of if Banner manages to transform out of his own free will, he'll be able to harness the power of the Hulk himself.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can find him again in Berserk mode, but he has 2 Gamma Soldiers to help him out.
Of course.
There we go. Well, Joe, I remember that there was also some comics like Planet Hulk and subsequently War Hulk, where he's essentially at his peak of intelligence as normal Hulk.
Mm-hmm. Although I gotta say again though, I love him in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes because he has a snark to boot. Like, huh?
It's okay because right after I defeat this guy, he'll turn back into human form.
Like, for example, too, one of my favorite parts was how in the season 1 finale of that show, the Avengers are going up against this villain who constantly goes about how he's the strongest to the point where he even makes Hulk look weak, and then when they finally beat him, all Hulk just said is, "So, who's the strongest now?" I'm so sad that show got canceled.
You'll get your Ultimate Spider-Man and like it.
Ultimate Spider-Man actually evolved into being good. Surprisingly, You know, surprisingly, Ultimate Spider-Man actually did evolve into a show that fans could like. And then that show got canceled, and now we've got the 2017 one.
Is it gonna
Yeah,
go?
the Disney XD have a hard time sticking with a show long enough for it to be good.
And for some reason, Josh Keaton is playing Norman Osborn instead of Spider-Man. Huh.
Ironic.
And yeah, I'm gonna be quite honest, that 2017 Spider-Man is...
That's like, it's like when, like, it's not quite like that, but it reminds me of when, of that new Digimon movie that came out. I haven't seen it yet, but, the dog managed to get
are you sure you're not referring to... Oh, sorry, give me a sec.
They managed to get back most of the cast, but one of the actors who played TK in the second series is in the movie, but he plays a different character.
That is weird. Hey, you know what?
I think in that one he's voiced by Johnny. Let me check the cast list just to be sure. I don't want to make a mistake.
Hey, while we're on the subject of superheroes and movies, hey Pedro.
Yes?
How unfair is it that Powerpuff Girls 2016 gets a freaking movie? Ironically, after the original Powerpuff Girls movie is kind of the reason that no other Cartoon Network show got a shot.
Well, technically, the original show also got its own movie.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the original show got its movie, and that movie is kind of the reason that no other Cartoon Network show got a shot at a theatrical movie.
I have found it. TK is now voiced by Johnny Young Bosch.
The problem is that, like I said in our commentary, the problem with the movie is that it didn't do it told the origin story, but it didn't really. Some of the wit and inventiveness of the episodes wasn't quite captured in the movie for me.
I think it was also about that it did well critically and with the fans, but not well commercially.
Well, actually, it was critically panned, though fans. Oh, okay, cutscene. Remember, this is in the Hulk. Sorry, in the Ang Lee continuity, the Hulk is his own entity. That was always inside Bruce, even before the Gamma accident. So, unlike Banner, who can still transform after this, Crawford goes back to his original self.
Weird, because the description literally said it was permanent.
There you go,
so...
hold on. Explanation. There you go. During my treachery, I gave the lead. So there you go, Joe. But that's what he's been doing all this whole time.
The leader has moved the orb to his base of operations. New freehold. We must.
This is my battle. The energy is my
Wait,
responsibility.
is
that and you cannot transform anymore anyway, so it's like you're not really useful. So
wait, is he actually feeling remorse for all he's done? What the heck?
yeah, the problem is that it's brushed aside and it's never mentioned ever again. Like it's anyway. Reckon the leader now has the Gamma Orb and wields the awesome power it contains. It's up to you to destroy the orb before the leader can manipulate its power to his own ends.
You don't say.
What?
All right, one final stealth level.
All right.
Oh, thank God, the last one.
Well, after this is the finale.
Yeah, this game's honestly pretty boring.
I don't blame you.
You know, this one it's really...
It's slightly more tolerable when you're playing it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem is especially when they have to go out of their way to force the stealth. Like, okay.
To overcome the leader.
So, I guess the reason we're playing this...
just give a justification. I must use my mind, not my emotions, to overcome the leader.
Yeah, because they just said that apparently these cellular network things mess with your cellular structure as whole
it makes
here.
you
It
feel
all looks like the wing of a TIE fighter.
Well, Joe, if it makes you feel any better, the final boss battle against the leader is a combination of both Bruce Banner and the Hulk of sorts.
That could be interesting.
I've got to get out of here.
Alright, so when we get to this part, the enemies will get, so you have to hide yourself quickly. There you go. Hide behind here, and just hope they don't see you.
You know, I think, I'm not going to say that this would have made the game perfect, but I think it would have helped immensely if all the levels were about of you getting to switch between Banner or Hulk.
Yeah, like the Mega Drive game, yeah, I agree.
Or heck, like the Lego Avengers games. Well, you know, or Lego Marvel games in general. It's like...
And that was it for the last stealth level.
Wait, that was it?
Well, remember, while we've reached the point where we can't, I find it hard to believe that Banner can defeat these two.
Oh, well, hello!
Thought you were done with me. Think again.
Do we have a boss rush coming
Go
up?
over.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Alright, points for actually incorporating the line when the movie didn't.
Yeah.
At
So
the very
at least Eric Banner got to say it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because in the movie he just says, Talbot, you're making me angry, and then he doesn't say the last half. I mean, the last half of that phrase is what makes it.
He does originally say it, but only in a different foreign language. Subtitles.
I guess, yeah, in the original trailer, okay, there is a trailer of the 2003 movie where you can't hear Eric Bana saying it. I'm guessing that scene was probably cut for some reason, or maybe they changed the script.
Oh, how much do you want to bet into
those
this
things
cut?
where like the trailer has something that the movie doesn't. It's like super colorful.
Yeah, it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh movie trailer where you hear.
Could this be the last duel?
I
Not
wonder.
just that, but I love how. Not just that, but the trailer talks about how Yugi must discover the secrets of his past, the secrets of his alter ego. Bullshit! The movie doesn't do any of that.
You know, I wonder, do you think they couldn't because, that line would be too silly? Remember, this is back when the people thought that superhero movies had to be dark, gritty, and all serious and adult,
Edgy.
yo. So they probably thought, that line would be too corny.
DC is still kind of going through that phase.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but the recent news we got from DC
What?
don't really leave me hopeful, honestly.
What news? What news?
Well, you know, Joe, we've talked about this. The one where they decided that now they're gonna have two sets of movies going on at the same time with different actors, and because that's not gonna create franchise fatigue and at all, is it?
I've said this many times before. It's one thing to do it in comic books, but in movies.
Because it's one thing to do it in comics. The problem is that movies are much. What works for a particular type of media won't necessarily work for all types of media.
Oh boy, so what, is it like gonna be two different continuities, or are they gonna have...
Basic, Joe, we're going to keep going with the original plan of having movies like Justice League, then we're gonna have the Flash film, with, what's the name of the actor playing him?
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. We're going to have Aquaman with Jason, I forgot his last name.
Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. However, Joe, aside from those movies, you know, the Marvel-esque structure that they're adapting and sorts, we're also going to have standalone alternate continuity movies, including a Joker origin story movie. Because as we all know, it's not like the Joker's ambiguity was part of what makes it such an interesting character.
No, it's not like we've had an origin story in film before.
So...
Well, the problem is, because like I've said, part of the Joker's appeal is how his ambiguity. If you tell the full origin story, that some of that mystique is lost. Go ahead, Joe.
So wait, hold on. They're standalone and they're not even part of the current movie
No. They're not gonna be part of the actual DCU. It's a separate thing. And it's even gonna have different actors playing the same actors. For example, the Joker origin story movie is not gonna have Jared Leto. It's gonna have
What?
because that's not going to create franchise fatigue or brand confusion at all, is it?
Now go imagining this kind of trailer. Johnny Depp plays Ben Affleck, plays Batman.
It's all it's going to do is cause unnecessary brand division.
Like, I mean, seriously. You know what the weird thing is like, well...
Who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
You know the weird thing...
He's in charge of this thing now, so yeah. So much for Jeff Johns making everything better.
Yeah.
Well, he's made a few things better from the films, but yeah, this sounds like a weird decision, especially for the fact that standalone movies that do stuff like that, dude, that's what your animated film division is for. You know, the one that you're pretty good at when you made stuff...
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but isn't Bruce Timm the one in charge of the animated ones?
No, not all of them.
And from what I'm hearing, Bruce Timm's kind of going through his bad phase at the moment.
Yeah.
No, Pedro, he's not in charge of all the...
Hey guys, do you know what would be funny?
Let me finish, Strips.
Let's make a killing joke movie, but have like a weird fanficky sex scene at the beginning.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, no, I mean, he's not in charge of all the DC animated films. You know, he wasn't in charge of the Wonder Woman one or Crisis on 2 Earths. I mean, the recent one, yeah, but no, not all of them. Okay.
Did he do that 60s Batman one?
No. Basically, Pedro, I think that you're thinking about... Okay. When I say DC animated films, I'm not talking about the DC animated universe. I'm talking about their animated standalone films. You know, stuff like Public Enemies.
Sure, I guess. Alright, but yeah, like I was saying, DC, it's a terrible idea, and what the fuck, like, again, if you go, seriously, it's, Wonder Woman didn't teach you anything?
Apparently
really?
not.
People say the biggest problem with the DC films is Zack Snyder.
Yeah, well, well, Zack Snyder was one of the big problems. The problem is that, again, we like I've said before, the problem is that we have a bunch of executives that have no idea what makes the DC comics appealing, and they're just throwing shit at the wall and just praying that something sticks.
I love how you just beat the two bosses and there wasn't even a cutscene respecting that. It's just, move on, go ahead.
It's like the Deadly Six in Lost World. They're just gone.
I get the feeling this climax was probably a bit rushed.
You know...
Well, then again, the whole game probably was rushed because, you know, licensed game and shit.
You know, I'll never understand the mentality that they have to release it at the exact same day as the movie. Like, couldn't you maybe release it like...
It's because of marketing, Jova, because they wanted to release while the movie's still fresh.
Well, I get that, but maybe wait a week or so. I mean, you know, at the very least for that.
I don't think an extra week's going to help.
Yeah, an extra week isn't really going to make that much difference. Yeah, but it's not really going to make that much difference in the grand scheme of things.
I bet there'll be like 2 less glitches in it or something.
What I mean is that overall there needs to be more preparation put in beforehand if you're going to have it released this close to it. And there's really no excuse that, oh, why not actually try and develop the game side by side along with the movies?
It was much easier back in the 90s when, you know, because 16-bit games are much less complex and much easier to make. But
those Terminator games were awesome.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, let me rephrase that, Dwips. It was much more probable we would get a great game because back in the day, games were much easier to make, as in easier to make, not easy to make good. Like you still need talent, obviously. Like, because it's obviously much harder to construct a great 3D game than a great 2D game because 2D doesn't involve nearly as much. Like, there's no texture rendering. There's no, you know, there's collision detection is much easier to program because there's no free dimensions. It's just one of those cases where back in the 90s it was easier because game development was much simpler.
Remind me, did the Spider-Man movie video game come out the same day as the movie?
The 2002 one, you mean? Yes. And I think the 2004 Spider-Man 2 game also came out in the same days, didn't it?
I wonder what they were doing differently that allowed them to actually make the games come out good.
Well, here's the difference, Joe. But unlike Radical Entertainment, who just made this game and after this made another Hulk game, Treyarch already had made a PS1 Spider-Man game before they made a 2002 one. So they already had experience.
Yeah. Fair enough for the first Spider-Man movie game because, that has pretty much the same gameplay as their Dreamcast Spider-Man. But Spider-Man 2 was something completely different. Like, that game still to this day holds up as one of the best one of the best movie video game tie-ins, like, ever.
Yep.
And that didn't have, the Spider-Man gameplay from the old Spider-Man to fall back on like the first movie game did. So, I have to wonder. I mean, they must have been doing something right.
And then Spider-Man 3 came out.
Well, more specific. Well, I've heard the Spider-Man 3 game was okay, except the Wii version.
Not the one.
Weird.
Wasn't
the GameCube version one of the greatest regarded?
Actually,
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 3.
Oh, I thought you were referring to Spider-Man 2. Okay.
Okay, it's well, there's another here's another thing. Well, this is the thing that I drove up. Aside from what you just said about Spider-Man 2, I actually much like I've said, much like with the 2002 game, I actually also find the writing and the overall story much better than the actual movie that's associated to.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how
You're actually not alone in that. I mean, the
Does
thing
Mary
with...
Jane abandon her groom in the game?
No.
no, thank God, no.
She breaks off before the wedding, actually.
I will never understand how can people find that ending satisfying and romantic and beautiful and all that shit. It's such a fucking...
Look at how exciting this game we're commentating on is. It totally has our attention.
Yeah.
Well, Drova,
We're still going for the same tunnels.
Well,
Nothing
Drova,
changes.
so does Prince of Persia, but yeah.
Okay. Look, with
No,
Prince of
Persia
Persia,
is actually a
Yeah,
decently
but
put together
that's what
game.
I'm saying. Drova is generalizing on the matter.
no. What I'm saying, no. Okay, Tia, look, with Prince of
Stop
Persia.
letting me
What the
stuff
fuck?
happen. Gone.
Did he just jump in the
Oh my
pit?
god.
Yes, he did. I think what Joe was trying to say to was that he's talking specifically about only this game.
Yeah.
Has he ever said anything of the sort about Prince of Persia? I don't remember him.
No.
I don't know, but through the logic of syllogism, he can be associated with that as well.
Well,
due
see,
to
here's the-
similarities in what he's saying.
Well, not really, though, because like with Prince of Persia, usually we stay on topic more voluntarily. With this, we kind of go off topic to the point where it's involuntary, because Prince of Persia gives us new stuff to talk about. We just happen to find different tangents, but we still often, try and come back to that game. Here, it's only when really anything different comes up that we pay attention to this game after covering the basics.
It's
That's
a combination
the
of this
difference.
game being so much more... This game drags, the levels drag. And in Prince of Persia, it actually keeps up a decent pace, so it's much easier to stay engaged. This game, on the other hand, starts off fine, but completely overstays its welcome by having stages that are way too long, and it's incredibly
Only
easy.
the like 2-3 types of enemies.
It's
Exactly,
way
there's that as
too
well.
repetitive.
Not to mention
like-
Prince
it's
of
like the
Persia's
4
gameplay
video
has much more
game.
variety to it.
Interestingly enough.
Like, seriously.
Like I said before, there is a good foundation.
Church.
Like I said before, there is a good core foundation here. It's just buried under a lot of padding and unfinished ideas.
True.
Well, I haven't played the game they made after this one, Hulk Ultimate Destruction, but I've heard that it is actually better than this one.
Is that the one published by Sega?
No, that's the PS3 360 one.
Hmm.
Wait, Sega did a whole game in the
Yes,
Sega,
7
well,
gen?
Sega published a couple of superhero license games, mainly the 4 Hulk and Iron Man 2 video games. At least as far as I remember. Yeah, even Captain America.
Captain America uses
Mighty
mighty shield.
I haven't checked how that game is.
I love how
but
the
I can
level
tell you
literally
that,
ends on Hulk running
but I
away
can
from enemies.
tell you that 4 and Iron Man 2 kinda suck.
Alright, everybody. In the
Anyway.
next part, we face the leader. So tune in.
Goody.
Oh, we're at the end, I think.
This is the end. Anyway, see you, everybody.
So yeah.